You know what game you might not want to talk about, but I'd be remiss if we didn't. The Green Bay Packers faced the New Orleans Saints.
Honestly, I don't want to talk about this game either, Matt.
I want to talk about it. We're talking about it. Look, end of the day, Theo was having a field day when Ohio State lost, so we're talking about the Packers, baby.
You can't hurt. Look, fair. You don't.
Oh, you can't.
But here's the
2014.
I don't care. I literally.
That
game was like 13-3, and I mentally checked out of it, and we were on to watching Browns Chiefs. Like, we sucked. Rodgers looked horrible. The defense looked horrible. Jameis Winston and their wide receiving core of nobodies tore us apart. We couldn't get anything going. Like, I don't know what else there is. Like, people have been like, I've been saying things all day on Twitter, and if it's like anything with a negative tone, people are like, what about the Packers? Like, the Packers losing invalidates the other things I think.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot. I'm Blaiden Kirk, joined as always by the two greatest co-hosts of all time in Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. How are you guys today after the first NFL Sunday of the 2021-2022 season?
I'm anxious. I want the.
I thought you were about to say I'm angry, and
no,
I would have been
angry.
like,
I'm anxious. I want the all 22 to drop on, and I want the condensed games to drop on Game Pass so I can really look at this.
Is all 22 dropping? Is that like confirmed?
That's what I've heard. That's what the secret. I will
buy Game Pass. Tell me when it drops. I'll buy Game Pass again.
Anyway, but I'm excited to get this under our belt and actually have real football games to talk about.
Matt, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Football weekend.
You are the only one with a team that won this week.
You know, my as a fan of as a team who actually ended up winning this week instead of
a team that ended up getting crushed, blown up, destroyed.
Team that ended up losing in embarrassing and sad fashion. Or a team that played pretty decent, but then watched their quarterback throw away the game on a really rough play. I can only feel so bad,
Yeah, but you had Ohio State.
Didn't throw any interceptions. Sam Darnold.
But he had Cincy. He had Cincy too. Cincy won.
Well, Cincy won.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He had Cincy and he had the Panthers.
Yeah, so I feel like he's got his fantasy team losing and Ohio State losing, but the Panthers and Cincinnati won. So it's got to be. You said so. So you've got to be feeling like.
Miami lost, Ohio State lost, the Browns lost. The only thing I have going for me right now is my fantasy teams.
That's pretty rough. You drove 11 hours to go watch. Why did you? I just don't get it, dude. I made a TikTok about this.
Yeah, you did make a TikTok about this. I had someone in our Discord ask me, hey, I have tickets, student section tickets to the Minnesota-Miami game. If you guys want to drive, to come see, I was like, oh, sure.
That would be like me driving to Oklahoma and watching ASU get blown out by Oklahoma.
We almost won. It was a great game. That was a great game.
Yes, they're free student section tickets, but there's gas and like food and Minneapolis.
And doesn't your time have value?
Yeah.
Oh, it does. It was a good trip.
Don't you?
It was a good trip.
You didn't like you slandered the city of Minneapolis, though, which cannot stand. You said that it wasn't walkable. You said that it had no redeeming qualities, and that's just not true.
Listen, it's just like maybe it was the part that we were in, like by the stadium, like the University of Minnesota Stadium. It just didn't feel. It did not feel like a great like. And then we visited the Viking Stadium, and around there we were just like. It's like, bro, this sucks.
You didn't go to the right part. Downtown Minneapolis, I'll go to.
Yeah, maybe we weren't in the right parts.
There's some parts of St. Paul that the Arts District that is absolutely beautiful, and Lake Harriet in Minneapolis that's so good, and like downtown Minneapolis, really good city. I mean,
you were right about this. Driving in Minneapolis,
it's brutal. It's the worst. Brutal. One time I was driving in Minneapolis, and there was a dude driving his car, and he had a sponge, and he was cleaning the inside of his driver's side window instead of steering or paying attention to the road. And he drifted across like several lanes of traffic. It was very funny. Anyway, that's enough about random stuff.
But before we hop into the NFL, Theo, we have to do the voicemail of the day.
Oh, right. Okay,
we have to do the voicemail of the day, man.
It'll probably be NFL related.
Yeah, it probably will be NFL related. I'd hope so. It was NFL Week 1. But, of course, we have the voicemail of the day. The Stay Hotline is obviously brought to you by Mint Mobile, and we are obviously so pumped to have them as our first official Stay Hot sponsor. So let's get into it.
Hey, guys. My name is David from Toronto, Canada. Big fan of the podcast.
Canada.
I got to ask one simple question. If you were stuck on an island and you could only bring one NFL starting quarterback with you, to help you survive, who would you bring and why?
To help me survive,
Tom Brady. He just wins.
Yeah, that's not a bad. I feel Tom Brady would get rescued somehow. Not a bad idea.
He just wins, man. He just wins.
I'm trying to think. Is there any outdoorsy guys that I know?
Someone who's just scrappy,
Maybe Wentz. Wentz can hunt. Wentz is a big hunter. I might take Carson Wentz.
How do you know that, man?
Because he has this picture with him with a million ducks, and he is a big hunter. He's from the Dakotas. I feel like he would be kind of a little bit of a survivalist. I might bring Wentz. I feel like he can make a fire out of two pieces of wood.
I can get behind Wentz. Wentz seems like
pretty good choice,
the right pick, but I'm still gonna roll with Brady because he just wins. Man, he just wins.
He does.
Fair enough.
Matt, who are you going with?
I think I would. I'd take Patrick Mahomes because I want a quarterback who is really amazing. Because I feel like the better quarterback they are,
the more people will look for them.
Well, first off, if we get into a football game, he gives me our best chance to win.
Gets into a football game on the island.
So we got that base covered, and then. If Patrick Mahomes goes missing, a lot of people will be looking for him too, more so than maybe any other quarterback. So I'd have to lean on him.
I think people would look for Brady a lot. I think if the people's goat fell off the face of the earth, they would look for him.
They'd be like his time is up. They'd be like, oh, look
he's
at him ride off into
the heavens.
There's still a lot of meat on the bones.
He just
from Mahomes'
turned into
career.
God.
They'd be like, oh, he disappeared.
Oh, man. Yeah, okay. So Matt takes Patrick Mahomes. Theo takes Carson Wentz, and I take Tom Brady. I think those are all
the other good thing about Tom Brady in that pick is known for eating nuts and berries.
Nuts and berries.
Yeah, that is true.
Known for eating nuts and berries. No, Tom Brady is the right pick.
So he's got that he's got the gathering down.
Yeah, he's got the diet. He's already.
He's gonna eat leaves and sand. It's gonna be awesome.
He's gonna eat leaves and sand, of course. But that was the Stay Hotline presented by our friends at Mint Mobile. And we've all made the switch to Mint Mobile and love it. Of course, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. All plans come with unlimited talk and text along with high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same number along with all of your existing contacts. And of course, if you're not 100% satisfied, Mint Mobile has you covered with their 7-day money-back guarantee. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/stayhot. That's mintmobile.com/stayhot. Again, cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/stayhot. But let's hop in. I think that's a pretty good transition into the NFL. Let's hop into our favorite games from week 1. I guess the obvious one, the Browns. Listen, it was a
good game.
It was a good
game. It did live up to the hype.
I guess.
What do you mean you guess?
It's the obvious one. I mean, we got to talk about the Browns.
Listen, even if I wasn't a Browns fan, we would still talk about this.
It was a very good game. I'll give you that.
And I thought, should do you guys want to give your 2 cents first, or should I?
Yeah. I mean, my only thing is the margin of error to beat the Chiefs is so slight. And when anything went wrong for the Browns, you were just like, the Chiefs are winning this game. There was a point where it was just like, oh, they screwed up. You can't screw up. And especially when the punt got muffed, it was essentially over at that point when the punter screwed up. It's Tyreek Hill obviously went crazy. There were some nice Denzel Ward moments. He had some good, pass breakups for sure. But overall, Kelsey and Tyreek 8, Mahomes 8. and looked a lot like last year. They did it. It was a good job. Myles Garrett got his. He had some nice moments, some nice impact. So it wasn't like the offensive line was completely like leak free. But overall, it looked a lot like last year's Chiefs, and last year's Chiefs went 15-1. Browns looked solid to me. They should win a lot of games against teams not called the Kansas City Chiefs. Baker looked real sharp, I thought. And even without Odell, the offense was moving up and down the field. So Browns looked stellar. They did as good a job against the Chiefs as, anyone has really done outside of Tampa Bay. So I think that even though the Browns lost, there's reasons to be, you should definitely be like, we should still be good.
Allow me to be a little bit more negative. I think the Browns did kind of show some of their weaknesses. I had a lot of people tell me about how did the Browns have the second most talented roster outside of Tampa Bay and whatnot. And they do have a very talented roster. And I agree, they're going to win a lot of games, particularly when they're not playing the Kansas City Chiefs. But Odell, health-wise, is now a consistent question mark. Now, I know he'll be back, but to say that he'll be back and he'll be just 100% healthy the rest of the season, probably not a safe bet at this point. And without him, I don't think their receivers are all that good. I think they have a definitely a bottom half receiving core below average. The Browns linebackers looked really, really rough. They have one of the worst linebacker units in the league. And their secondary is good. It's talented. It's very, very green. So the Browns have some things to work out. I think overall, their run game is just too good. Their offensive line is just too good. Baker Mayfield's doing a great job playing in the system for the most part. But I think what kills them against the Chiefs, especially when they make mistakes like that, is when you're a run team, when their strength is running, you can't afford to get behind on set of downs, or you can't afford to get behind in the game, because then you have to go away from the strength of your offense. So it'll be like if a 2nd and 12 is a much bigger thing for the Cleveland Browns to overcome, because then they have to go to the passing game, which isn't bad, but isn't the strong suit of the offense. Whereas the Kansas City Chiefs team, when they get into a 2nd and 12, it's not a great position, but since they're such a strong passing team, particularly a deep passing team, they're still trying to do what they're best at. I think that's why the Chiefs have been so good right now, and I think that's my biggest concern with the Browns outside of their linebackers, who are really, really rough.
The Browns linebackers are horrible. They're posted a tweet about this, and I watched all game, and I was frustrated. I was constantly frustrated. Anthony Walker is a disaster covering Travis Kelce. That man was lost all game long. And it wasn't even guarding Kelce. He was the last man to the football, always. Yep. He had no nose for the football at all. People were like, "Oh, but Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, he barely played." Like I'm not even going to like hold him to the same standard. It's like it just felt like every time that like a linebacker was involved in a play, I was like, "Damn, that play was bad." It was like every single time. I thought the corners looked good. I thought Denzel Ward did a good job guarding Tyreek when they went man. But anytime they went zone, it was just, either they had a great scheme to get Tyreek open on that deep crosser, which they are very good at, or it was Kelce getting in between our linebackers, and our linebackers can't cover anyone. So, and even if we were man on our with a linebacker on Kelce, beat every single time. It's like, I don't know. Like, part of me is, I felt really good about the offense. Without Odell, we looked good. Nick Chubb obviously was that guy. He had the fumble, but that's not really indicative of his long-term performance. Baker had the interception. I think that was kind of a fluky play because he looked really good. The interception,
I thought, here's what happened on the interception. I thought he was trying to throw it away, but he got tripped from behind as he was doing it. So he kind of like fell while he was falling down.
I haven't gotten a chance to go back and look at it.
I thought it kind of, when he got tripped, I thought like he released it kind of as he was falling, and it kind of took him by surprise. And as he was falling, the ball kind of went lower than he wanted it to. That's what I saw on the pick. Maybe he just made an absolutely idiotic attempt to hit that guy in the curl.
Either way,
I haven't looked at it closely enough. Romo seemed to indicate he thought it was a throwaway. I tend to agree with him.
Romo's pretty smart with these things, so I'll trust Romo. But either way, it's like that play was just like totally out of left field compared to the rest of the game from Baker. Baker looked really good, and the O-line obviously looked really good. You know, I'm not sure. I haven't heard enough.
That is the problem with Baker, though, is when he gets kind of under pressure, he tends to do some wild things. So like there, he was under pressure. And, you know,
and again, that's what Matt was talking about.
There's a guy behind him, and then he airmails it directly to the corner. That's like the problem with Baker is like he kind of loses his head a little bit when he's scrambling around like that. And
that goes to Matt's point. The Browns have to learn to play from behind. They were up all game, and as soon as they went down, the game was over. As soon as they
and it's just too easy for a team like Kansas City.
The Browns, let's keep it real. The Browns beat themselves, right?
I wouldn't say that.
I would say that. No, I would say that.
That's a cop-out thing to say. They got beat. Let up 33.
They beat themselves, man. They
beat themselves in the sense that like their linebackers weren't good.
Okay, yeah, I was more talking about like the Jamie Gillen thing. You know,
that's about it, though.
I guess, the Nick Chubb fumble was kind of just a good play by the defense.
Anyway, I think we should stop talking about the Browns. I think we should talk about another AFC North team, and that is, I think, the Steelers. Oh. Well, the Bengals are another thing, but I think the Bills and the Steelers, I am a little bit nervous for Josh Allen. I know that we were kind of, hoping and thinking.
I was the one to say that Josh Allen's regression season is basically inevitable. I don't think he'll be bad.
That's a little bit more inconsistent.
Oh, I hate this. Oh, he's statistically likely to regress. It's like it's not. You're just basing that on like odds. It's like yes, when you play like an MVP, there's only space to go down.
Yeah, that's
yes, yes.
I'm just saying, like
he has consistently beaten the odds when it comes to analytics. Josh Allen, consistently, he is like he wasn't supposed to be in the position that he was in last year at all. So I understand, and I kind of bought into the fact where it's like, okay, maybe he's just different because he's just that talented. But I would say in this game, the Steelers defense he looked a little bit more inconsistent than he had last year, but he had games like this last year. So maybe it's not, the Steelers have a good defense. So maybe it's not totally like a bad problem. And I'm not like ready to write them off or anything just yet, but I do think it is a little bit of a eyebrow raise. Like, okay, when all the analytics are like regression is kind of inevitable here, and then you come out and that's how you look week one. It's just an eyebrow raise. And the Steelers, for as bad as their offense looked for a lot of that game, you can say that that's the blueprint that they won games on last year. And, if they can keep that up, we'll see. I
just don't think that high level defensive play is really sustainable, especially
for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has finished with a sack every game for the last 70 games. They have sustained defensive excellence for the entire Tomlin era.
You guys know I was in the car for most of today. Did Big Ben look like a guy who can sustain, even keep that team above sea level?
No, Big Ben looked bad. But we're just talking about the defense.
And you know who looked bad last year for a lot of the time? The Washington quarterbacks, the Bears quarterbacks, Philip Rivers
Washington was also
year.
in a division. Washington was also in a division with no quarterbacks.
I'm just saying that the Pittsburgh Steelers defense came out against a team we were all very high on and made them look very human. So I'm just saying that they could be a team. I know at the end of last season, at the tail end of last season, it looked like they couldn't beat anyone. And that's kind of the projection I was looking forward to. I'm saying that, clearly, beating a team that they lost to last year, a team that looked to have improved in a lot of areas with the Bills, to get that out of their system earlier, a win that they couldn't pull off towards the back half of last year is a big, big, big win for the Steelers. And if their defense can look like that against everyone and slow down Josh Allen and that receiving core, they are definitely contenders to win that division just like they did last year.
Matt, I think you were talking about their O-line earlier.
Well, yeah, let me talk. My concern with the Bills is not them losing one game to the Steelers. This is one game. This is week one. Right. I'm not one game sample size, right?
This is not so much a Bills indictment as it is a Steelers the
Steelers deserve praise for holding the Bills today.
Yes.
The Steelers have a great defense, but this isn't me saying that the Bills aren't any good. I picked them to win the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Maybe is a little bit of an upset pick, but I picked them to win the Super Bowl for a reason. Their challenge is going to be, in the playoffs, avoiding teams with great pass rush. Their offensive line is just not that good. Their run game is just not that good. They are a limited offensive team. They're a great offensive. They're great, very good offensive team, very good quarterback. Bad offensive line makes them very, very stoppable. And then that means there's a lot of matchups in the playoffs that they could get where, let's say they have to go up against Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl. That bodes horribly for them. I've compared them to the 2015 Panthers. They're built in a similar way, but with, way better receivers or whatnot. 2015 Panthers had the exact same problem. So my concern for them is that if you can disrupt that offensive line, and that's the thing that they need to avoid is teams who can do that, you're going to have a hard time finding a playoff path where you don't have to get past a team like that. And they're going to have to figure out how to scheme up and scheme around that challenge, because I just don't think their offensive line is one of the more talented ones in the league.
And I think another part about them and a challenge they'll face is, especially with only one team getting a bye week now, all right, you need to, and you're one and done, all right, you're one and done. Mm-hmm. And you've got a quarterback like Josh Allen, who is just any kind of inconsistency. If you can have 3 great games and 1 bad game, and that is great statistically, it could be, but in the playoffs, it doesn't matter, because that 1 bad game is all that. And that's why I think Brady has 7 rings, right? That's why Montana and Bradshaw and a lot of these guys who are just kind of consistently avoid, like maybe they're not here at the very, very top, but they are so good at just avoiding, taking the easy stuff and like avoiding those bottom of the barrel game losing performances. Like that's the other thing with the Bills is like Josh Allen has to show consistency, because he didn't play great in all the playoff games. Like he played good in one, I think, really good in one of them. And I think it was the Colts one, I want to say. And then against the Ravens it was enough to beat the Ravens, but against the Chiefs, it just wasn't. You have to be consistently high level, and it can't be like up and down and up and down. You can win MVPs up and down and up and down and up and down, but in the playoffs, you can't have these bottom of the barrel games. Not that this was a total bottom of the barrel game, but it wasn't good enough to win in the playoffs. And he has to like eliminate those games. Everyone does.
Can we talk about the Carolina Panthers and the New York Jets? I watched that full game.
Yeah, so I watched a good deal of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, both. Again, I was in the car. How'd Zach Wilson look?
He had a very interesting game.
Okay.
He looks, the Jets drives went like this: punt, 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 interception, punt, 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 like touchdown, touchdown, 2 at the end when the game was pretty much in hand for Carolina. I would say that he looked, or I know it started like punt, 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 interception, punt, punt. Like they got off to a really rocky start.
Yeah. So the big question about Zach Wilson, I think we have, is how is he going to handle pressure? Because he barely had to at BYU. He had one of the best offensive lines, at least compared to the amount of pass rushing talent that he had to face.
He was essentially playing 7-on-7 for a lot of BYU. Yeah. He was not dealing. He was dealing with
that team was loaded.
Open pastures.
That team was loaded.
So what we're looking for is him to handle the pressure well. But it's kind of created this weird scenario where Josh Allen's going to see way more pressure than he deserves to. Not Josh Allen, Zach Wilson. Yeah. He's going to see way more pressure than he deserves to, right? And if you watch the first half of that game, look,
the offensive line
I can only blame him so much for so much. I mean, Chiefs Super Bowl level of just no chance every play. He's in hell, right?
Yeah.
And you can't blame a guy for that. But at the same time, what I'm looking for is him to succeed against that pressure. So on the one hand, the Jets offensive line is giving him no chance sometimes. But on the other hand, he needs to be able to deal with the pressure when he's able to.
Right.
People will give him a complete and total pass for the Jets offensive line being bad and say, well, he has no chance, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes that is true. But at the same time, that's basically not taking into it, like we're not analyzing what maybe his biggest flaw as a player could end up being.
Right.
So I want you to keep in mind that if you're saying, well, he had no chance, the Jets offensive line is bad, the Jets offensive line will be bad next week. It will be bad the week after that. Mekhi Becton looks like he's out for the season. It's not something that's going to change.
I don't think he's out for the whole season. It was an MCL sprain, I think. So the majority of the season, maybe the entire season, they avoided the worst. But still, it's going to be bad for a while.
Yeah, they're going to have, even if Becton comes back, their O-line will probably still not be very great.
And I completely agree with you, Matt. I just like what I was looking for with Zach Wilson. The number one thing is like, because he was dealing with so big and wide open of a pockets at BYU, can he operate inside smaller ones in the NFL? And I think the answer you found today wasn't a yes. Like it wasn't, yes, he can. He didn't prove that wrong. Now the question is like, it's such a crowded pocket and it was so chaotic there. It's like the answer is anyone. But I don't think he exactly proved anything wrong because the offense just could not get anything going for the longest.
Another thing that I think I'd look for him, Tom Brady is the least mobile quarterback in the NFL, but he's one of the best. And the way that he handles pressure is A, he has an amazing offensive line. And B, instead of trying to run around and get away from the pressure, he gets the ball out of his hands very quick.
Yeah, Brady's always done that. He's always had a very
Zach Wilson is kind of a gamer. He's kind of I'm going to run around backyard football type and make a play. And there's nothing wrong with that play style. The Jets drafted him because that's how he plays, because that type of player makes plays. And there were a couple times where he did do that in this game. But if their game plan is we're going to block horribly for Zach Wilson and we just hope he can run away, that's going to get him in trouble. That's going to get him hurt. That's going to frustrate him.
Yes.
So I want to see a mix of him using his natural elusiveness and playmaking ability on top of them scheming up some quick passes for him, some easy outs, some good checkdowns. But a lot of the times there wasn't something there for him to get it out quick. And a lot of the times when there was and he hit it, the Panthers were right there to jump on it. So that's something that New York's going to have to work on. I also don't know how good their running game is going to be. I don't think their backs are that overall talented compared to some other teams. And their offensive line, of course, being bad basically means that might not matter too much.
So the answer, Blaiden, is it's not like there were no flashes of talent there, but overall, I would not bet on the Jets offense ascending.
Here's what I just heard. Zach Wilson got a ton of pressure on him against the Panthers. And I know the Panthers have Brian Burns.
Yeah. It looked very nice. Davion Nixon.
Like they have some talent on that front seven.
I had a first round grade on Davion Nixon.
They can create pressure. Don't get me wrong. But they play the Miami Dolphins twice. They play the New England Patriots twice. They're going to play some good defenses this year. Better than the Panthers.
The Panthers have a lot of athletes, but they're not an unbeatable defense by any stretch. If they throw some good pressure at Zach Wilson and they add in a lot of changing fronts and have linebackers,
that's what around, Miami is going to eat him alive.
Oh, one other thing I wanted to talk about. So, the Panthers, how the new number system allows linebackers to be different numbers and it messes up quarterbacks trying to read, seeing who's a linebacker, who's not.
According to Brady, at least.
Yeah. The Panthers changed two of their linebackers' numbers to single digits, before the game to try to throw Zach Wilson off. I thought that was really funny.
I remember, but
I feel like I got at least... Right? No, dude, I just thought that was really funny. I do got to talk a little bit about Carolina because they deserve some credit, but I'm going to be honest with you. Put up good numbers. Sam Darnold, I'm not super impressed. I did not love it. There were some good plays. He did a good job maneuvering around some pressure and moving in the pocket. I liked that. He had a really nice throw to Robbie Anderson, but also Robbie Anderson was wide open. I'm not going to hate on him for hitting a wide open receiver. You got to do what you got to do. But I don't feel like he forced the ball too much, but he missed some really easy stuff. And we left a lot of points on the board against a not very good defense.
Yeah, the Jets cornerback room, I could make up names right now and you'd be like, yeah, that guy's probably starting for them. And they put up 19 points total. And CMC had a good game and their weapons looked really strong and still only put up 19 points. So definitely not like Carolina looks like a world beater out here in this win.
No, I don't know if you guys saw this. The Panthers had a trade in place, like they were ready to go for Matthew Stafford, and he said no. Not just that they wanted to, and he was like, nah, I don't think so. They had the trade done.
Wait, Matthew Stafford said no?
Nope. That's rough.
And that is brutal. That's going to haunt me if I have to see a Sam Darnold 3 interception
That was
game.
probably after his trip to Cabo when he met with Sean McVay.
No, that trade went through and he happened to be in Cabo. I want to talk a little bit about Mac Jones and the Dolphins game, because in a game where Zach Wilson looked a little bit out of his depth, and in a week where Trevor Lawrence looked out of his depth, Mac Jones looks like a good, solid quarterback. I thought, like, he didn't throw bad picks. He didn't, put up a ton of points, but the Dolphins defense has made life hell for young quarterbacks last year. It's a very difficult nut to crack. And I'm not saying that he put up prolific numbers against it, but Mac Jones, I thought he did a nice job. I will say, after the game, he said, they're like, why didn't you keep your first touchdown? And he's like, I only scored one. I need more than that. And all the Patriots fans are like freaking out. They're like, this kid has his head screwed on right. Take your first game ball, man. Like, give me a break. That's so corny to me.
Be a kid.
We didn't score. I don't deserve this game ball. Like, I know that some people just flip for that kind of like mentality and stuff. It's like, oh my,
I hate
to
that.
me, it's like, you are just take your game ball, man.
I do get that Mac Jones is trying to do the right thing there, and like he's trying to say the right thing.
Yeah, no, I don't like hate Mac Jones for it. It's just like that whole like mentality is just like,
you know what that reminds me of?
I don't know.
That reminds me a lot of like in did you guys watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
A long time ago, yeah.
So they replaced Captain America, and the guy
not the show. I thought the show. I was thinking about the movie.
Show.
No,
Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the show. They replaced Captain America with like this new guy, super like he's supposed to be like the next Steve Rogers, right? And he tries to do all these things to copy Steve and imitate Steve Rogers, and it all fires back in his face. This reminds me exactly like that.
Right. It's like, I get that he is when he's like, I don't need my game ball. I didn't score enough. I don't deserve it. Or like, that's kind of the mentality. Like, I only scored one. We needed more. I get it. It's trying too hard to emulate Brady. Brady would probably keep it. Brady probably kept his first touchdown pass.
My question about that is, how does somebody? Again, I'm not trying to hate on Mac Jones that much. I get he's trying to do the right thing.
No, yeah.
But how does anyone listen to that and be like, that's not phony? That's not
exactly.
It's a little bit performative. It's very performative.
No, it's very performative.
Like, yeah. It's, to me, I'm just like, brother. Like, and I get it, because people, especially in New England fans, all the quote tweets on that were
they're gonna eat that up.
Got our guy. Like, this is the greatest thing anyone's ever said ever. They eat it up. They lick it out of a dog bowl when guys say stuff like that, and it's the Patriot way. So like, maybe it was a good move on him, because all the fan base is willing to take a bullet for him now that he said that. But to me, I would just be like, man, take your game ball, dude. Now,
I will say this. You said he looked really good against this Dolphins defense.
Not really good, but like, he didn't look solid. Out of his league.
He didn't look
like Lawrence did at times,
lost.
and Zach Wilson did at times.
You know whose defense that is, right?
Belichick's defense.
It's Belichick's defense. Of course he didn't look out of his depth. You've seen it before.
Oh, it was a nice debut for Mac Jones. That's all I'm trying to say. It could have gone a lot worse.
I know.
It could have gone a lot worse.
That was a game I really did want to see. And I was upset that I couldn't, because
that one was happening at the same time as the Packers and the Browns game. So I didn't watch a ton of it. Tua did struggle a little bit, but again, the offensive line was not great.
I saw the rushing touchdown he had. That was like a really good.
I saw that one offensive lineman. That might be the worst offensive lineman play I've ever seen.
Wait,
Josh Uche, I think that's how you pronounce this. I'm sorry if I'm botching your name.
He's sweet.
Yeah. Anyway, he took a guy, and they might still be digging him out of the turf. He took him and just like, he went down. So, you know that video of the kid who gets hit with the pillow and he goes down like weirdly fast? You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Like, it's like, yes, it looked like that. Like, it was like, no way he should go down like as violently and quickly as he did. It was so funny.
You know
shout out Josh Uche, because I wanted to work with PFF and do positional scouting. And the games they sent me to like audition for this was a Michigan game. Michigan versus Wisconsin. And I had to like chart where everyone was on the field. That was like the role. And I had to watch like every play a million times. And I was like, this Josh Uche guy, or number 6, I think he was at Michigan. I was like, this guy's like really good. And I didn't know. And I was like, I looked him up. I'm like, oh, Patriots, second round. So I've always kind of had my eye on him. And the other guy who stood out was number 97, Aiden Hutchinson, I think his name was. And he's killing it in college football right now. So he's kind of emerged. So I didn't end up going through with that because it took so much time. And I'm like, PFF's probably not paying me all that much to do so.
But Matt and I looked into working with PFF too. Yeah. I really do like PFF a lot.
You know what game you might not want to talk about, but I'd be remiss if we didn't. The Green Bay Packers faced the New Orleans Saints. And I thought,
honestly, I don't want to talk about this game either, Matt.
I want to talk about it. We're talking about it. Look, end of the day, Theo was having a field day when Ohio State lost. So we're talking about the Packers, baby.
You can't hurt. Look, fair. You don't.
Oh, you can't.
But here's the 2014.
I don't care. I literally, that game was like 13-3, and I mentally checked out of it, and we were on to watching Browns Chiefs. Like, we sucked. Rodgers looked horrible. The defense looked horrible. Jameis Winston and their wide receiving core of nobodies tore us apart. We couldn't get anything going. Like, I don't know what else there is. Like, people have been like, I've been saying things all day on Twitter, and if it's like anything with a negative tone, people are like, what about the Packers? Like, the Packers losing invalidates the other things I think. Like,
here's my hot take.
Yeah, go for it.
Not to interrupt you, but
go for it.
I think you deserve to get bullied on Twitter.
Okay, yeah, sure.
You bully on Twitter.
I do. I can take it. I'm not complaining about them bringing it. I mean, I am complaining about it because it's like, just because the Packers lose doesn't mean the other things I say are like it doesn't. I don't care enough for me to just be like.
I think you do care. I think deep down, no, you got the Packers jersey on right now because you want to support them. You're too good of a fan.
I got the Browns hat on, man.
I do. I mean, I would have rather them won, but like, am I torn up because they look absolutely horrible?
I'm a little torn up.
I'd be more torn up if they lost a close game. The fact that they got blown out, I could mentally check out of that game pretty quickly. Plus, Rodgers is historically terrible playing from behind. Like, we're just not the kind of team to come back. I checked out of that game a long time ago, and the Buccaneers lost 38-3 in their first game last week. Like, it was so bad. Where I know we're not that bad. Like,
well, yeah.
So
you're not giving up 5 touchdowns to undrafted
Didn't the Buccaneers lose to the Saints week 1 last year?
They did, yeah, 38-3.
And you just lost.
Yeah, we just lost
38-3. That'll be on some that'll be on an ESPN tweet.
Oh yeah, it already is. And it's like, okay. I know we're not that bad.
We should put that on.
The rest of the NFC North has gone 0-4 today. Like, we all sucked. So it's like, okay, Packers suck today. If they're not better next week, then maybe I'll be a little bit more alarmed. But this was just one of those games where it's like, okay, we had no shot. I don't know.
Jameis Winston deserves credit, though.
He does.
I do want to talk about him.
And his pocket presence. He looks so good. Like, his pocket presence, the Green Bay was getting home on some pressure and collapsing the pocket on Jameis. Cool, calm, collected. Didn't put the ball in harm's way, like, hardly at all. Only attempted like 14 passes and scored on 5 of them.
I feel like we shouldn't be all that surprised. I feel like Jameis.
Saints 0-17.
Hey, no.
We shouldn't be all that surprised at Jameis.
No. I'm just saying we shouldn't be surprised that Jameis looked good under pressure. I remember in Tampa Bay, I think it was 2018. He actually looked like, I remember like there were a lot of times where like pocket would collapse around him, or like one guy would get blown up. He would step up and deliver a strike to Mike Evans. I'm just saying, like, listen, man, I used to make hype videos for teams, and I remember vividly making I remember there being a lot of highlights of Jameis Winston like stepping up into the pocket and delivering a strike.
I think a lot of what happened to Jameis Winston is that he just happened to get a head coach who played terribly to his biggest flaw, which is throwing not great interceptions and trying too hard. And Bruce Arians desperately wants you to air it out and desperately wants you to try to make those tough throws, even when sometimes it's not always the best idea. He's notorious for putting quarterbacks in positions where they throw 10 interceptions, not excusing 30 interceptions that he had in 2019. But he's with a team that I feel like plays to his strengths a lot better. Got a very good offensive line right now. I don't know if he's throwing 5 touchdowns on 14 passes every game. I don't know if they're going to win every game by 35 points. But Jameis is doing great for my fantasy team.
This is another game, kind of like the Steelers, where it's like, I do think that there's legit takeaways to bring from this. Like, I don't want to overreact to week 1 or anything, but my big concern was like, They've got to go 6 weeks without Michael Thomas. Traquan Smith was hurt this game. Like, as much as I don't think Jameis Winston is as bad as some people, but again, it was hard for me to get excited about Jameis Winston throwing to Harris, and I like Callaway, but then he's like wide receiver 1 and Jair's on him. I'm like, okay. It's like Troutman's like kind of a sleeper. It's like there were so many guys where it's like, okay, like I kind of like him individually, but as a unit, that's pretty horrible. And then like to come out and look like this, that they can look like this again. Again, Sean Payton has a good track record with quarterbacks not named Drew Brees. And then you're getting Michael Thomas back week 6 or 7 after the bye week. Yep. Saints, I didn't have them in the playoffs. That might be one thing that I change after this. Although I do think that it's very possible that all 3 NFC West teams get the 3 playoff seeds.
They're just so darn good, dude.
They're so good.
Rams
are crushing right now.
They just won 34-14. Matthew Stafford looked about. I saw someone tweet out that it was weird seeing a Rams quarterback that didn't look lost in the pocket,
timid, or like willing to just wind up and deep. And with that win, all my locks hit. So
actually, I have something that I wanted to talk about real quick about the locks. We need to clear something up about that game. So I lost because the Vikings suck and screwed them.
Blaiden choked and uploaded the one with you at the Jaguars before you changed your mind.
But I did change it. If the Vikings had hit, I would have claimed my 3 points. Here's my question for you. Odds are this won't happen, but it almost did today. If a tie happens, what do
I was thinking that too. I was thinking that too. I was thinking a lock is a win and a tie is not.
I disagree. Nope, I disagree. No, I think that it counts as a
lock
no.
is a win and a tie is not a win. Therefore, it is a lose if you are picking a team that is locked to win.
Here. I think if you say I guarantee a lock is a win, you don't lock a team to just not lose. A lock is they're going to win because I feel confident.
Okay, yes, so you don't get your point, but I'm sorry. In the rules, you said if they lose, you get none of your points, and a tie is not a loss.
You're being nitpicky about.
You guys are talking about
okay. Let it be known. It didn't happen, so let it be known right now. A tie is not a lock.
I hope this happens to you. I hope this happens to you. I hope this happens to you.
And I'll own it. Like I know that when I say I lock,
you'll cry about it.
When I say I guarantee this team is going to win, it doesn't mean win or tie. It's a lock. It's not a lock to just not lose. It's a lock to win. This is
they don't lose the points unless they lose,
and a tie is also not a loss.
Theo's the only one that had his locks,
but it's a win. It's a win. Like they're a lock to win. That's the whole point. I thought the 49ers, Rams, and Buccaneers would all win by like a lot, and a tie is not winning by a lot.
Rumor had it that Jared Goff looked pretty solid.
He did.
It was a weird game. That was one that I did not watch all the way. It was not on TV, and I was going between on my computer streaming the Zach Wilson and the Joe Burrow game, which we could talk about. Joe Burrow.
It's actually something I have to bring up. I don't mean to change the subject.
Yeah, go for it.
About Rams Bears. You know who I saw?
Who did you see?
I've been a supporter
of
Jefferson.
Van Jefferson.
I saw him.
He's on your fantasy team.
I saw someone streaking. First off, that guy's on my fantasy team. Second off, everyone told me that he sucked. I go check the dynasty forums that I look at. They're like, he sucks. Then I see someone streaking down the field with the football in their hands for a touchdown. And I say, is that Van Jefferson?
He made another 74 yards, right? Too, 74 yards?
He's got 80 yards and a touchdown. And I don't think he's going to be wide receiver 1 or 2 on that team. But he is a very solid player. He's a very good route runner. And he's a very nice receiver for the Rams to have. And he had a good play, and I had to bring it up.
That's fair.
I thought about you when I saw that play. I did.
Denzel Mims, on the other hand, not good.
That one is not great.
Well, I heard at one point that Denzel Mims was like a fringe roster guy.
He's on the team.
So okay. He made the roster. That's all you can ask about.
Anyway, enough about Matt's fantasy team. What were we going to talk about? We were going to talk about
it was either like Joe Burrow or the Lions, something like that. I don't know.
I got killed for Joe Burrow today. I got killed for Joe Burrow today. Not as killed as you got, Blaiden, for locking in the Bills and the the Vikings.
No, I got
video's up to 300,000 views, and all of them are not viewed in a positive light.
Yeah, that's okay, never mind. I was about to say I got killed more for the Saints, but never mind. I'm getting killed more for the Bills.
Burrow looked pretty good today. He really did, and he hit the infamous pass that went 30 yards past the line of scrimmage, and it was and everyone is like,
throw and it barely counts in every quarterback.
No. I deserve what I will say that there was not a brilliant display of arm strength. I'll go on record and say that, a 47, I think it went 47 yards in the air. Chase had several yards of separation. Like, yes, he should have hit that throw. He didn't last year.
Chase had several yards of separation.
Yeah, that is true.
Here's the thing about that.
I want to say that, yes, Burrow looked good today. Yes, if you are preying on my downfall in the Burrow take, it is a step in the right direction. But it was not so spectacular today that I'm willing to concede defeat. And I'll do a full breakdown on his game when it's over. And he also missed a wide open touchdown and then threw what should have been a pick that hit the Vikings guy in the face mask.
Theo, can I give you some hope? So, Matt and I's friend Zach is who I went to Minnesota with. Zach was watching the game while I was driving.
Zach seems like a cool guy. Shout out Zach.
He's a cool guy.
We get a lot of Zach references on the podcast.
We do get a lot of Zach.
Zach's an honorary member of Stay Hot, man. He really is. But, Zach said that outside of that throw, he really wasn't that happy with Joe Burrow's performance.
He did miss a wide open touchdown and then throw what should have been an easy pick immediately after. But that throw was enough. I'm going to do a full breakdown on the game. Again, I was going between that one and the Jets game, so I didn't totally like break down exactly how Joe Burrow looked. It was definitely like a positive game for the Bengals, and winning against a Minnesota team that I thought was super talented, and I thought the Bengals were not super talented. The Bengals rolled in, won the game, big upset in my eyes, and definitely on the right path to proving me totally wrong and make me look like an idiot for sure. I don't want people to the degree I'm getting killed for the Joe Burrow throw. You'd think he just hit the Mahomes diving parallel to the ground throw. It wasn't quite that good.
The thing about that is that Bengals fans have to hear all offseason about how Joe Burrow,
and I get it for them.
For me included. I'm not trying to dismiss myself from this, but they hear all offseason about how Joe Burrow hasn't hit any deep shots. They hear all offseason about how Jamar Chase can't separate.
How the Jamar Chase are going
bomb. Great separation. Joe Burrow deep
50
shot.
50 yards down the field.
Talk your shit. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, no, I get it. I truly do get it. It's just and the fact that they've been so harsh, and it's exactly
how I was. That's a good word. The Browns beat the Steelers.
You're harsh about all your takes.
I am harsh, and I understand why after this throw, even though I didn't think it was obviously one throw in either direction is not the end all be all. It was
4 second sample size.
It was a good throw for one open throw sample size against Joe Burrow here. It's the first one.
Are there any other games you guys wanted to get to?
I don't know. I might think about it for a second. Justin Herbert looked super good. Keenan Allen super good.
Apparently, Keenan Allen had 2 weird fumbles or something.
Yeah, I actually did see that.
Did he? Well, his route, that's not something that's going to be
Doesn't
consistent.
count in my book.
Doesn't count in my book. He did clinch the game with a very nice pass. He had over 100 yards. Thought it was weird that Eckler didn't get any targets for a fantasy thing. That's probably my, but he did have a goal line touchdown. Not really. Those are kind of all the things that's come to mind to me right now.
I don't mean to change the topic to college football, but if we're done talking about the NFL, I would like to talk a little bit about college football.
Let's talk about college football.
I would like to. I have a question about your Ohio State still makes the playoff take.
You know what? I have backed down a little bit from that. Let me put it to you this way. First off, anyone judging me for that, Ohio State just lost, so I'm allowed to be unreasonable. Ohio State has better odds to make the playoffs than people currently think. Okay. A lot of people think that they're completely done. And don't get me wrong. It's the best for Ohio State if they don't make the playoffs. I'm good. I don't want to go lose by 1 trillion to Alabama. We didn't beat them last year. In college football, you have these weird.
You just want Cincinnati to make it, and you're just like, yeah. If Ohio State were to give up their spot, it wouldn't be the worst.
Do you want Cincinnati to get killed by a trillion against?
I don't
Alabama?
know. Ohio State not making it in does not guarantee Cincinnati.
I know. It's just funny that you're rooting for two teams who would have a shot at making it. So,
but OSU, I think that Ohio State. I hate to be this guy who says this about their team when they lose, but Ohio State probably should have won that game if they could have. There's just too many plays they left on the field that they could have. It's like they had a drive going and then they can't convert on fourth down on some bullshit.
Didn't you just tell me that saying, "Oh, we beat ourselves" is a weird cop out?
No, because Ohio State actually did beat themselves.
Maybe they just got beat.
Oh, this guy.
Ohio State did actually beat themselves. At least I'm cognizant of it. I know. The thing is the assumption that Ohio State is now terrible and will lose to the rest of the Big Ten is a little weird to me. It's not impossible. Their defense is so bad, but the receivers are so good. I didn't love how Stroud played.
And it's 2 games in a row that they've been like,
their defense, their linebackers just stink.
They got new Tough Borland just dropped.
We never get rid of it. It's never finished. When Ohio State loses big games, this is the secret. This is what they don't want you to know. It's always the linebackers' fault. When we lost to Iowa, it was the damn linebackers. When we lost to Purdue, maybe we were just bad then.
Is this just an Ohio thing? Do all Ohio football teams have bad linebackers?
Anyway, my point about
maybe
Ohio
it's because I have a theory. I think maybe the whole state of Ohio gets obsessed with tough, hard-nosed football, and the entire Big Ten and the AFC North is always we need to stop the run. We need big run stuffers. I think that's just the Ohio mindset. Maybe the reason that Ohio teams lose with bad linebackers, since he has horrible linebackers too. Maybe it's just because they have too much of the Midwest mentality.
It's not that. Jerome Baker killed. I have this one Jerome Baker play against Iowa locked into my mind where the tight end just ran a drag and he just went the wrong way. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Anyway, I am disappointed in Ohio State. This is an in-between year for them. They've got Henderson and Ewers for the next 3 years. I don't know if Stroud's going to make it through the rest of the season. Are they frauds? Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I still think they're a team that can win the Big Ten,
they just
beat Michigan,
lost.
and win your Sixth Bowl.
Everyone's a fraud except for
get
Alabama.
exposed to big.
Georgia's
good. Georgia is a good, legit, good.
They're not better than Alabama.
Okay. Their offense was rough against Clemson. I can tell.
Who cares if they beat Clemson? Clemson is Clemson. I don't get why people are being so harsh on their win against Clemson University, the team that's there every single year, and they won them, and they're not good enough.
I'm just because there's Bama.
Look, Bama
would have scored 30.
Maybe I don't know. I think Georgia's good. I think their line.
I don't disagree. No, Georgia is good. Georgia is good. I wasn't disagreeing. I'm just saying. I'm still taking Bama probably in a matchup between them, but they play twice, so maybe they'll get one. Yeah. All I want to say is that both Clemson and Ohio State are kind of in the same boat right now. Both of them lost their biggest game, and neither of them are really out of the playoff race. Yes. And I think one of those two teams probably wins out and finds a way in. Mm-hmm. And when that happens, I do not want to hear anyone complain about it, complain about how, these teams can lose their biggest games, not beat anybody, and then get in the playoffs, and then also want a playoff expansion. You can't do that. You can't do that. That's the problem with the playoffs.
But here's the thing. What if that happened? What if Cincy goes undefeated and Ohio State has the one loss and Ohio State gets in over Cincy? Would you like an expansion that lets them both in and they both get a chance to prove it?
No.
You know what I would
just have Cincy.
Here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. God bless the University of Cincinnati. I do not want to see them play Alabama. I'm good. I mean this.
Those poor kids where they're just dying for their big chance, and then you're just I don't care. You guys don't.
They're just waiting for approval from Matthew Sponhour to expand the playoffs, and Matt's no.
I'm denying them that. Right. Here's the thing. The other thing that bothers me about the college football playoff selection committee, at least, is I think that in a scenario when it comes to Cincinnati making it in the playoffs, In a scenario where they have the option to put in a 1-loss Oregon team, a 1-loss Ohio State team, a 1-loss Clemson team, a 1-loss Georgia team, they will go with the team that will give them the most ratings every time. Yeah. There's so much that needs to break Cincinnati's way, or they need to play ridiculously high level opponents. And our biggest game is Notre Dame.
And Notre Dame sucks.
Notre Dame is fighting for their life against Toledo.
And Florida State, who lost to Jacksonville State. Anyway, that Jacksonville State Hail Mary was also the funniest play I've ever seen.
That's awesome. It rules.
One more thing I want to talk about before we close. I think with only 17 games in an NFL season, the MVP race is always like changing. My list right now, I think Russ is number one after you're playing essentially a perfect game of football.
That's every year. Russ is number one after week one.
Blaiden, shout out you. I think Kyler may have played the best game of
5 total touchdowns. Kyler Murray is my guy.
Kyler has ridiculous throws. The one to Kirk where he was pretty much shooting it like a fadeaway and it went like 50 yards in the air. He had the ridiculous opening touchdown to Hopkins. I think he had a really good game statistically, and the eye test was also maybe the most impressive of everyone. I think obviously there's Brady and Dak. And Dak might throw 6,000 total yards this year. And then Brady obviously played, I think, almost a flawless game of football. I don't care about the 2 picks. And who else? And Jameis. Those are probably my top quarterback.
Jameis is
as far as week one goes. One more thing I do have to hit on. I don't want to be a jerk. Oregon played very, very well. And Oregon probably deserved to win with how Ohio State played. They did a great job up front against Ohio State. Ohio State, I'll say this. Ohio State lost. That's me being a little salty. They did miss a lot of plays. They could have won that game. But I have never seen Ohio State get less pass rush on a team. Oh my God.
And Oregon was missing their best guy up front.
Yeah, defensively. I'm talking more about their offensive line.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying like Oregon has excuses too,
Oregon did play a very nice game. They're a very nice team. I don't think they're guaranteed to go undefeated or anything. But I would not be surprised if they did end up winning out and did end up giving Pac-12 one of their first playoff berths since Oregon made it?
Yeah, probably since Oregon. Yeah. Washington hasn't made it. Utah hasn't made it.
No, Washington made it since Washington.
Washington? I don't even remember that. Proves how much I've paid attention in years past. This year I'm paying attention though.
Gonna call you out again, Matt. You can't say that Ohio State beat themselves and then also like, well, Oregon beat Ohio State.
All right.
So, but
it's a little bit of both.
And it happened. Same thing with the Browns, man. It's a little bit of both.
They're just bad. Your team's bad. My teams want to know. Your guys' teams are 0-1. Panthers on pace for a 17-0 season. You heard it here first.
Something like that. But that wraps things up for us today. As always, tons and tons of content coming your way. Week 1 was exciting. We're really excited to get back to week 2. Well, we still have one more game tomorrow. Well, I guess today, when this episode drops, it'll be today for you guys. The Ravens and Raiders are playing. Do you guys want to give a quick prediction for that?
No,
Theo?
I have no idea what's going to happen in that game with all the Ravens injuries. I
picked the Ravens as a lock, so I do have a bet.
I do have a bet that Lamar throws multiple passing touchdowns. So that's the only thing I'll predict.
Okay. Matt?
I think they'll both go try their best.
In the words of Zachary Parsons in the tweet that I posted earlier today, I just hope both teams have fun. That's it. I just hope both teams have fun. But as always, tons and tons of content coming your way. Week 2 should be exciting. The end of week 1, of course, should be exciting. Don't miss out on all the content coming your way on all platforms. And until next time, we'll catch you on the flippity flop.